Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome into the News 10 Plus Digital Desk. I'm Taylor Gattoni. Huh? Thunderstorm Thursday, Crystal says. I was like, what? And we have Colton sharing on Thunderstorm Thursday and sharing more into the Severe Weather Awareness Week.
Yeah, you know, it's been a full week of a lot of great information, sharing things about flooding. We talked about tornadoes, hail, all sorts of things. So today it's going to be a little bit more general, talking about thunderstorms. That's pretty general, right? So that's something that we obviously see many times throughout the summer season and the severe weather season. But I wanted to break down what makes it a thunderstorm severe. Also to kind of talk about some of the watch and warning information, because that sometimes can get confusing, especially when you know that there are different types of tornado warnings. There's different types of severe thunderstorm warnings. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit. And then we'll also talk about lightning. So it's going to be a lot of good information here to get us all ready for the severe weather season that has already begun. Michigan's already seen 2 tornadoes. Yeah. So the severe weather season is in full swing, even though we're not tracking that moving forward. But it is obviously severe weather season. So let's start off by talking about this. And now what this is a breakdown of is the different types of categories that the Storm Prediction Center comes out. So we'll say, oh, there's a slight risk for severe weather, or there's a marginal risk, or, you know, moderate, or, you know, whatever it may be. So there are 5 different levels that the Storm Prediction Center will put out, with marginal being the lowest end, and then high being the highest end, obviously. I will tell you that the high level is exceptionally rare for us here in mid-Michigan. It only happens a couple of times in the entire country, and sometimes there are years that there is no high risk. So if we ever find ourselves in a high risk, you know it's a big deal, and that's a day that we really need to pay attention to the weather. So let's break this down each level. So marginal is one that we're probably in the most, and this just means that there could be a strong thunderstorm or 2. So it's really isolated severe weather threat. The storms tend to be a little bit more short-lived, limited intensity. They're normally not a crazy strong thunderstorm with a very strong tornado. It's typically the lower end of our severe scale. When we get to level 2, that's the slight risk. So that would be one that would actually trigger us to declare a first alert weather day. That's a little bit better chance of seeing severe weather overall, and there'll likely be a scattered thunderstorm. So it really has to do with the number of severe storms that you can see. So this is getting into the scattered. This is when you may get into some of those tornadoes, also some stronger winds, and hail damage with the level 2. Now, once we get into enhanced, we do see this probably a couple of times each year. Level 3, that's when you get into a little bit more numerous tornadoes, and there tends to be a lot more damage reports overall. When we get into the moderate risk, so that's something that we don't see very often. Maybe once a year we will get into that type of category from the Storm Prediction Center. That's when you get into the widespread severe weather. That's when you get into some of the stronger tornadoes, widespread wind damage, a very large hail as well. So that's a little bit more rare. And then obviously the high risk, exceptionally rare. So this is where there would be a severe tornado outbreak. And this would be significant widespread damage. So Claire is asking, what day is this going to happen? So we were just talking about Severe Weather Awareness Week. So this is just giving you an update in terms of what we can expect heading into the severe weather season. This is not for any specific day. This is just explaining when we talk about the different risks from the Storm Prediction Center, what they are. So this isn't for today. This isn't for tomorrow. We don't have this in the forecast at all.
Just preparing you
Yes.
if it happens.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So just breaking it down.
And then, sorry, real quick, with the categories. So one of the things that we wanted to warn you about, and we did last summer, was the tornado that swept through the Williamston area. So when we're looking at the categories, what would that fit under?
I believe that day in particular, we were in the enhanced risk.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure we were in that enhanced risk. And just because we have these categories doesn't mean that you can't get a strong tornado or a strong thunderstorm outside of these categories. I have seen throughout my career many events where we get into that moderate risk where we see nothing go on. So just because they have these categories, it doesn't mean that everything falls perfectly in it. But the higher level that you have, you can kind of expect more of a severe day when it comes to these risk categories. So I just kind of want to break that down because we talk about this all the time. When we get into severe weather season. We've already talked about it a lot this year with some of the risks that we've been in. But yeah, very useful stuff just to keep in mind. And again, these are put out by the Storm Prediction Center. So they actually put these out 3 days out, so 1 to 3 days. So they'll update it for today, tomorrow, and then the next day. With these categories, they do forecast further out than that. They go up to 7 or 8 days, but they don't have these categories with them when it's that far out. So we'll normally day 3 is when we start to get these categories put out by the Storm Prediction Center. And the Storm Prediction Center is a branch of the National Weather Service, and it is based in Norman, Oklahoma. Fun fact for you, where the Storm Prediction Center is.
Makes sense.
Yeah, some of the best scientists and meteorologists in the world work at the Storm Prediction Center. So, but let's talk about, kind of generally speaking, what makes a storm severe, right? So we talk about severe thunderstorm warnings, we talk about tornado warnings. What does a severe storm need to be severe? And you need winds of 58 miles per hour or greater. Very strict criteria from the National Weather Service on this. You need 1 inch plus diameter hail. So that would be golf ball size hail. And then obviously a severe thunderstorm can produce a tornado. So those are kind of the 3 categories that we look for. If a thunderstorm doesn't reach, especially the wind threshold, there will not be a warning on it.
I was going to say that seems like the one that's more attainable, during the forecast, as opposed to, I mean, like you said, we've seen a few tornadoes within the past year, so that was severe as well. Yeah,
so this is just the definition of what makes a severe thunderstorm severe. And then when it comes to, okay, so the National Weather Service, or we don't issue watches and warnings, but if the National Weather Service sees a thunderstorm and it looks like it's going to be producing one of these things, they will issue a warning. So I want to break down some of the different categories. First, talking about tornadoes. So there are 3 different things that the National Weather Service will issue in terms of tornado: a tornado watch, a tornado warning, or a very rare tornado emergency. A lot of people are asking what level we are in. We're not in any of those levels. We're just explaining what they mean for
severe weather awareness week.
Yes, this is just a general explanation. We're not in anything like this, but we will talk more about the forecast later on.
At 2 o'clock.
Yes, not currently. We're just kind of going over Severe Weather Awareness Week, so we will have those updates for you when it comes to, especially because a lot of people are watching the forecast for tomorrow too. So looking at the tornado terminology, so a tornado watch. So there's a difference between a severe thunderstorm watch and a tornado watch. They will issue a tornado watch when it looks like it's a little bit of a better opportunity at seeing more tornadoes as opposed to just severe thunderstorms. But a watch just means that there is those conditions are favorable for tornadoes. So we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit more detail in just a second. But a watch just means, hey, it's been issued at 2 o'clock and it's in effect until 9 o'clock. So between that window, you could see strong thunderstorms that could produce a tornado. So that's just a time like, hey, oh, there's a watch. Let's keep an eye on the forecast. When there is an actual warning, so they, very strict criteria with this is that they see a thunderstorm that has rotation in it, and it looks like that rotation is strong enough that it could produce a tornado. So when they see that, they will issue a tornado warning. Once we see a tornado warning issue, we jump on air immediately, and we will be on air throughout the entire event of the tornado warning.
And that's what happened last August.
That's what happened with the Williamson tornado. There was a tornado warning issued with that storm. Now, a tornado emergency. This is different, and this is not something we see often at all. Very, very rare. So this is when there is either a confirmed tornado. It can be radar confirmed, and what we mean by radar confirmed, that means that debris is being picked up, and we can see that on radar. That's what happened with the Williamson tornado. And so if the National Weather Service knows there's a tornado, or it's been spotted and they get the information, and the tornado appears to be heading for a town, they will throw out a tornado emergency. I have not yet seen one of these in my career in Michigan. Very, 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 very rare to see a tornado emergency.
Scary.
And very scary. So that means that there is a confirmed tornado and it is heading for a town. So you do see these sometimes. A lot of times it's in Tornado Alley and things like that. But they are not issued very often, and those are the ones that you don't want to see, because that means something's not good.
Right. I know yesterday or earlier this week, Justin Bradford was saying he was showing cupcakes, and he was saying when you have the ingredients for a cupcake, that's like your watch. You have the ingredients there, the conditions, and then the warning is like when the cupcakes are done, and they're there. The emergency, if we're going to dumb it down to that level, is probably throw out the cupcakes. They're burnt.
Right. Yeah. It's something that I wanted to show you this because people probably don't even know that exists. And that's the point, because it's so rare.
I haven't heard, I don't think I've ever heard.
So what will happen, it will show up as, it still looks like a tornado warning, but this is when you'll get the alerts on your phone, and it will say tornado emergency. So if you ever are in a place and you find yourself under a tornado emergency, that means this is about as life-threatening of a storm as you can get, and you have to do everything you can to protect yourself from the elements.
So question.
Yeah.
I know you want to get into an area away from windows. You want to be in a low-lying area, preferably a ditch or a basement when there's a tornado.
Yeah.
An emergency that's coming towards a town. You also don't want to be on the roadways. What do you do if it is coming towards your town?
Well, and if there's a tornado emergency, you don't have a lot of time. So that your biggest thing is you can't outdrive it. You can't get out of town.
Sure.
You have to just find shelter, and you have to find a basement. Underground is always the best option, but like you said, there are some other things that you can do. If you don't have a basement, then you need to get to an interior part of your house. Even when it comes to mobile homes too, a lot of times that different mobile home communities will sometimes have storm shelters that you can get to. You would want to find yourself on one of those.
Apartments, stairwells.
Yeah, apartments.
And getting low.
And apartments, you want to get down to the first floor and stay in a stairwell. And that's something that I always think about, because I live in an apartment, of what I would do if there was something coming. And yeah, get downstairs if you don't live on the bottom floor, and get into the interior part of it. So that kind of still applies for that too. A lot of schools obviously have a lot of plans that they do and drills that they do. So yeah, tornado, definitely when you get into that tornado emergency stage, you don't see it very often, thankfully. But
yeah, thankfully.
Whether it's a tornado warning or a tornado emergency, you need to be taking steps to protect yourself. And one of the things too, I should have put a graphic in here explaining it, but one of the things to keep in mind too, if you do find yourself under a tornado warning, and you are finding yourself getting into the basement or another safe spot, have shoes on.
Oh, yes.
Or have shoes already there, because you don't want to find yourself with a lot of damage to your home and then you don't have shoes on. So that's just
be nails and broken boards. And yeah, that's dangerous. Wires.
And likely, if your home was damaged, you're going to be missing a lot of your shoes.
Yeah, so try to layer up a bit.
Yeah, so just something to keep in mind there. Okay, so enough about tornadoes, and then we'll kind of get into the types of severe thunderstorm warnings. So this is something that we did see when it came to the day of the Williamston tornado. We also saw those strong wind gusts that happened through most of mid-Michigan. And there were different types of severe thunderstorm warnings, which a lot of people don't realize. This is actually a change that happened a few years ago. So the base is, again, what we talked about when it talked to, about the wind gust, as well as the hail size of 1 inch or greater in diameter. Now, there are a couple of different severe thunderstorm warnings that are issued. So the base is just your general severe thunderstorm warning, 58 1-inch hail. The National Weather Service will add a considerable damage tag to a severe thunderstorm warning if it looks like you'll see wind gusts of over 70, and then you get into 1.75-inch hail, which is bigger than golf ball sized. But then this is the one, so destructive. This is a more rare severe thunderstorm warning that would be issued. And we saw this last year when it came to that day of the Williamston tornado. We saw destructive severe thunderstorm warnings put out. And that is the one that will actually trigger your emergency alert system on your phone. And that's why you saw it pop up on your phone, even though it was no tornado warning. And then also sometimes a lot of emergency managers and things like that will initiate the sirens to go off, even though it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. So those ones are very rare, but we did see that last year. And for most people at home, the types of severe warnings really doesn't change much, because you'll still get the notification that a severe thunderstorm warning was issued. But it's really that last one, the destructive one, that will cause your phone, if you have the emergency alert system turned on your phone, it will send you a notification saying, hey, this is going on. This is what's happening. Get into a shelter. And when you get into wind gusts of over 80 miles per hour, I mean, that's about as damaging as a tornado in some cases. So you want to make sure that you're doing all the same things that you would for a tornado as you would there, because we know when we saw those storms in August how widespread the damage was, and that's why. And we saw wind gusts of over 80 miles per hour.
And 80 miles per hour, regardless for a thunderstorm or tornado, that's still 80 miles per hour. So that is strong. That'll cause damage.
If you want to think of it this way too, that's a Category 1 hurricane. right? So you get into some very, very dangerous stuff there when you get into that destructive phase of the severe thunderstorms. And that, again, that changed recently when it came to the National Weather Service and how they issue those warnings. But kind of moving forward here, we want to talk about some of the severe ingredients that you need. We always talk about SLIM, the acronym SLIM: shear, lift, instability, and moisture. You need the combination of all four of those to see severe weather. Shear is kind of, you got to think about it for a second. So shear would be the change in direction of wind as you go high in the sky, or the speed, the change in speed. So sometimes, most of the times for tornadoes anyways, you need a combination of the two. Because if you think about it, if the winds are changing direction in the sky, that means there could be some rotation in the sky, right? Lift would be something you need a lot of rising air for thunderstorms to develop, just generally speaking. So lift can be done just by having a really hot and humid day. You can also get it from like a cold front, so that's why typically you see thunderstorms develop out ahead of a cold front. Instability, same type of deal there. You need some sunshine, you need warm, you need mugginess to get that, and then obviously you need some moisture for the thunderstorms to develop. So you normally need a combination of all four. Sometimes you'll say it's a high shear day, or maybe not so much. So you don't need a ton of shear to see severe thunderstorms, but you do need at least some. Most of the time.
A mixture of the ingredients.
Yeah. And again, that can be either with change of direction of the winds in the sky or a change of speed. So two different types. And also want to talk about lightning and just how lightning is created. And it's kind of basic on the premise of how this happens. You have positive and negative charges that are in the sky as well as on the ground, and you need those to interact, and that's what causes them. Opposites attract, right? So you do see this. So it's most of the time you get the positive charges down on the ground, and then the negative charges up in the sky. And then once they come together, sometimes you can get these zigzagging step ladder looking lightning strikes. That's like your general looking.
And that's from the ions or the electrons?
Yes. So that they kind of get moved upwards, and as they're trying to attract, and they kind of get into like a little zigzaggy pattern.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a cool graphic. And then as the ladder gets closer to the ground, it draws those positive charges upwards, continues to happen, and then when they connect, that's when you get the flash of lightning. And sometimes those travel at about 60,000 miles per second. So it's very quick that these happen.
So you're basically, the lightning is basically just the path between the negative and the positive electron.
Right, and then when they come together, there it is. Yeah.
This is cool. Okay, sorry, let's go back.
Yeah. But there are different types of lightning too.
Yes.
I wanted to show you that too with this.
Cool.
With lightning. You know, I will say about lightning, just real quick, this is kind of a little off topic, but not really. Lightning is the biggest thing that I don't like. It is one of my, out of anything about weather, it's like one of my biggest fear. I know. I don't know why.
Really?
But yeah, all of this can happen in less than a second, by the way. So it's very quick, and then you get that lightning bolt. Obviously, lightning is very dangerous.
Yes.
There's a lot of myths when it comes to lightning. A lot of people think that lightning can't strike in two places at once, or at the same place twice, is what I should say. That's not true. It can strike wherever, and we'll kind of go into a little bit more of that tomorrow too.
Yes.
But here are the different types of lightning. So obviously you get the cloud to ground. That is most common. A lot of times thunderstorms will have that. You can actually sometimes get it to start from the ground to go up to the cloud. That's a little bit more rare. Cloud to cloud or cloud to sky, but a very common one is within the cloud. You just see a lot of positive and negative charges in the clouds, and then they just cause lightning, and you see that quite often. So just the different types of lightning in there too. Lightning is very dangerous. Don't let that fool you. And some things to keep in mind when it comes to lightning is that obviously you don't want to be near something that's tall. So that will allow the lightning to strike that. So like
metal.
A lot of people think that like you're golfing or something like that, and you want to go get under a tree to protect yourself from the rain. That will protect you from the rain, sure, but you're also standing out there, and the tallest thing that the lightning charges are going to try to, or the charges will try to connect to, is the tree. So that's why sometimes you can get injured, because the lightning will go to the tree, especially if there's nothing else around. And obviously metal attracts lightning as well. A lot of older homes actually still have those lightning rods on the roofs of the buildings and things like that, and some of the skyscrapers have them too. So it's just very interesting. Lightning is very dangerous, and that's why they say that anytime you hear thunder, there's likely lightning too, so you want to get inside.
Yes.
And it's really has nothing to do with the thunder, it has to do with the lightning. So it's one of the more dangerous things that come with a thunderstorm, and it's so common. And every year you hear about people dying by being struck by lightning. So this is really what you need to watch out for. You also don't want to be in water, because obviously electricity and water don't mix well. So you don't want to be out on a boat. You don't want to be in a pool. As soon as you hear thunder, or as soon as you think or see that there's a thunderstorm coming, get inside and get away from windows. All of those things to protect yourself when it comes to lightning, because it can be so dangerous. And I'll tell a story real quick. When I worked in Missouri, we had a day that there was a lot of severe thunderstorms, and I remember when I left work that night, there was so much lightning in the sky that the hairs on my arms were standing up, because there was just so much going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
chills.
Yeah, and they do say that one of the safest places that you can be, and when it comes to lightning, is in your car, and that is true, and that's because you have a metal frame protecting you. So if a lightning strikes the car, it'll actually diffuse it and kind of go outwards. Then
you got the tires.
The electricity will conduct the electricity down on the ground, and it's fine. But yeah, so just all those common things that you hear about lightning, just make sure that you are aware of it. It is so dangerous, and it's probably I don't want to say it's the easiest thing to forget about, because it's so clear when it happens, but it's cool to look at, sure, but you don't want to be near it.
I would say, yes, going off of that, I know I like to take my videos of lightning. I know you like to take your videos and pictures of lightning, and I'm sure many of you out there do too, because it's cool. And when you see so many in the sky, you're like, oh, let me get that nice little line or crackle, whatever. But do so, inside your home, maybe point it out the window. You don't want to be out in the open, like Colton was saying, or not under a tree or anything tall, away from metal, water. And usually, when there is lightning, there is rain with it, so that's obviously the water you want to stay away.
Yeah, and remember, all types of lightning are from thunderstorms.
Yes, and yes.
So we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but
we have the same idea now.
Yes, all lightning comes from a thunderstorm, and sometimes you can see thunderstorm or see lightning from a thunderstorm that's way off in the distance. So anytime that you see lightning, get inside, get away from windows, all those types of things that you want to do, because lightning is not something that you want to mess with, and obviously it kills people every single year, so just make sure that you're being careful.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to get near all of that energy too. That's a lot of...
Yeah, it's a lot of electricity, and it definitely will injure you if you get struck by lightning. And obviously when you see people that have been struck by lightning and live, and they have the scars on their bodies from it, so...
Those stories are wild.
It is, and it's just one of those things. And lightning is so common because it happens in every thunderstorm. That's why you have to be careful every single time. And if you do have lightning, or you do have a thunderstorm, we have a lot of lakes around here. A lot of people like to be on the lakes. A lot of people like to be swimming. Get inside. I cannot stress that enough. You will never find myself outside if there's a thunderstorm coming, because lightning, I don't like lightning, and it is so dangerous. So make sure that you are being careful.
If it's just raining, you're good. But yes, with the thunder and the lightning, the lightning aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah, get inside. Well, we got a lot more coming, and even talking more about lightning and tornadoes tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow will be a fun day, as we will be right back here at noon tomorrow, talking about just kind of some common myths when it comes to severe weather. A lot of it will have to do with lightning. A lot of people wonder, can you take a shower when there's lightning going on, and can you be on the phone and things like that. So we'll talk about that stuff. We'll also talk about other things when it comes to just severe weather season in general, tornadoes, everything. It'll be a nice kind of recap of Severe Weather Awareness Week. So we'll have more coming tomorrow about all of this, and we really hope that this has been beneficial for everybody when it comes to severe weather season, because there's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around. People have a basic understanding of what all of this is, but kind of just going through it a little bit more, hopefully it will help everyone get prepared for this upcoming severe weather season.
Yes, and again, we will continue, and by we, I mean our meteorologists will continue tracking anything in the forecast. I know we had a few viewers like Chris Schultz. Thank you for joining again. It's always great to hear from you and everyone else. We will be back here at 2 o'clock sharing your first alert forecast for today, the rest of this week. But again, today, or at least right now, starting at noon, we've been talking about Severe Weather Awareness Week. I know we had some concerns. What day is this happening? It is Severe Weather Awareness Week. I want to keep stressing that because we're good. If there is any severe weather, First Alert, of course, our meteorologists are going to keep you updated.
Yep, and that's what we're here for. I always say earn my paycheck when the weather's not great. So as we head into the summer season, we'll keep you updated and keep an eye on that, especially when it comes to, you know, with what happened last year with that widespread severe weather we saw and the tornadoes. Unfortunately, they were deadly too. So a lot of people, I bet, will be paying more attention to severe weather season this year, which is good. But, you know, we'll keep you updated, and we don't want to scare anyone or anything like that when it comes to the forecast, but we'll see it. How it comes together, we'll let you know, and make sure you download the News 10 First Alert weather app because you get the radar, you'll get some of those push notifications that I mentioned with watches and warnings, so very useful stuff.
Yeah, it's very informative. They break it down with the different graphics so you understand, again, the different levels of a watch, a warning, and even rarely, at times, emergencies. But even though it is rare, again, we don't want to scare anyone, you still want to give the warning, know what to do when it happens so that way you're prepared. The worst thing, I know, when something is thrown your way out of the blue, you start panicking because you're like, what do I do? Where do I even start? Yes, so.
Yeah, and now's a good time too, especially if you have a basement or you have a place in your house that you would go to if there's severe weather. Create a kit and put it there. Like, put some extra food or put some batteries, flashlights, things like that in a little kit. You know, that's all you need to do. Keep it where you would go if there's a tornado or something like that, and you will be thankful that you have it because you never know what's going to happen, and just you'd rather be prepared. And a lot of people say that. I've seen stories done over the last few years of people who have gone through severe weather, and everyone who says, you know, they lost their home or their house got destroyed or something like that, they always say, I wish I was better prepared. I wish I had this, wish I had that. So now is the time when the weather is okay to make sure that you are prepared for it. I have a kit at home that I keep flashlights, batteries, things like that, all ready to go just in case, because you never know. I have lost power many times and you kind of get flat-footed for a second and you just want to make sure that you are prepared for it.
Well, yeah, even just losing power can throw you off. So talking about being prepared, again, this is why we're talking about this for Severe Weather Awareness Week and making sure we're answering those wishes of I wish I was prepared. They're telling you how to get prepared. So, yes.
And do it now as opposed to when there's a storm coming towards your home.
Yes. Yep. Well, we'll be back here at 2 o'clock. Until then, I will show the First Alert weather app. Colton made a good point earlier that I feel like we should let you all know. The First Alert weather app, this is a graphic. These are not accurate things on here right now. When you go to the app, of course, you will have the updated information for the forecast, but this is just a graphic showing you an example of what you'll see.
Yes.
All right.
Good call there. But yeah, you can find all the updates and videos in there too, and it's free in the Google Play and App Store.
Perfect. And then again, we'll be back here tomorrow for the Q&A, fact or fiction. So make sure to tune in then.
Yes, we look forward to seeing you.
All right. Have a good day.